You may not want to have a mortgage in retirement, but can you afford not to?
Let's cash that check.
I'm Archie Hoxton,
And I'm Rob Hoxton.
and this is Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. Welcome to Last Paycheck. I'm your host, Archie Hoxton.
I'm Rob Hoxton, and this is episode 3.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about one of the most common questions we get from people who are thinking about retirement, planning for it, or maybe even already retired. And it's, should I pay off my mortgage?
To mortgage or not?
Right, to mortgage or not to mortgage? That's the question.
And there's a lot to it, actually. It doesn't seem like there's a lot to it, but there is. There's that emotional piece.
Right. And then there's just the numbers. Can you make it work? And they're both important, right? With any financial planning question, the answer is going to be, it depends, because it's a really personal and individual decision.
What are some of the numbers that, when you say numbers, Archie, what are you referring to?
Well, the first one has to do with, taxes, right? So before 2017, the big tax bill, the TCJA, there was more flexibility in tax deductions you could take.
So you're talking about the deduction of the interest that you pay in a mortgage, right?
Exactly. So you could, back then, most people would deduct their mortgage interest and save money on their tax bill. Once that tax bill passed in 2017, the standard deduction got really big.
It almost doubled. It's like in 2023, for married filing jointly, it's $27,700. So if you're going to try to itemize, you got to have itemized deductions that exceed that. In that case, you could maybe ostensibly take an interest deduction. That's what you're getting at, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and you can either itemize or take the standard deduction.
Either one, not both.
Right, not both. So,
without going to jail anyway.
Right. Yeah. Paying a lot of fines. So don't do that. But what happened was most people now take the standard deduction. So one question is, are you itemizing and are you taking advantage of that still? Are you saving money on your taxes? There's
some things you can do, right? So
right.
If you look at maybe bunching deductible expenses by year, you might be able to take a deduction one year, take the standard, itemize 1 year, take the standard deduction another year, and maybe get some benefit from paying interest on a mortgage. But
right.
let's talk about interest rates where they are right now and what the expectations are for investment returns and that sort of comparison.
Right. So that's the other big one. If you started your mortgage a few years ago when interest rates were really, really low, you might have a really low interest rate and, we might not see that again for a while. So
it's cheap money.
Right. It's cheap money. The extra money that you have that you would use to pay down your mortgage might be better served in an investment portfolio where it can grow and compound.
Or even buying treasuries or CDs in some cases.
Yeah.
Oops. Don't you hate it when people don't turn their cell phone off? Anyway, yeah, let's keep going.
Okay. So
life happens, right?
Yeah. So yeah, right now, even treasury bills, very, very low risk investments backed by the United States government taxing power, are offering higher rates than mortgages for,
Yeah, this is July of 2023. If you're listening to it later, that might
right.
not be the case.
That could change.
Yeah, it certainly changes all the time.
So that's how interest rates, really play in, whether you should pay it down. Well, could you earn a better rate of return on your money investing it in the markets?
At the end of the day, what you have to do from the numbers standpoint is you really need to run your financial plan two ways, right?
Right.
One, paying it off. One, keeping the mortgage, and then figure out which option is the most attractive numerically. But of course, as you were going to say, there's an emotional piece to this too.
Right. And for some people, the idea of having a mortgage when they're retired is not a fun idea. It's just a very anxiety-inducing thought, and that's not wrong, right? It's okay if you feel that way. It may be the right answer, even if the technical factors work out for you. It might still be the right answer to go ahead and pay it off, because when you're retired, you want to be enjoying the things that you've put off, in your working years, raising children and spending your time on those things. If you go and you get a camper and you're traveling around the country and all you can think about is, what happens if something happens to my income, if something happens in the markets to my portfolio and I can't make my mortgage payment, then in that case, it's perfectly valid to just go ahead and pay it off.
But understand, right? Like everything in life, we've talked about the levers that we can pull in our financial lives. There's trade-offs. More of one thing means less of another. Sometimes not having a mortgage comes at a price.
Right.
Maybe you can afford it. Maybe you can't. So it's very individual. It's all about your particular financial situation, right?
Exactly. If you've been a really good saver and you've got a great portfolio and you're going to be able to produce income for yourself in retirement, and you've got 5 more years and you can pay off your mortgage with your cash flow from your working income, might not be a bad idea. But that's money that's not going into your portfolio, that's not compounding. Once again, going back to that interest rate factor.
I love this question, and we get it so often. There are other similar questions that really don't have the emotional piece to it. They're just debt-related questions. And as a general rule, we don't really like debt.
Right.
Sometimes we can't avoid it. Student debt, buying cars when we're young, those sometimes are necessary, but those aren't the things you want to go into retirement with. And so what's different about a mortgage, the mortgage question versus should I buy a car with cash? Should I lease it, or should I, borrow money on it? There's some similarities to the mortgage question. The one thing that's really different is that emotional piece. How do I want to enter my retirement years? Do I want to just feel the freedom of knowing that only I own the house? I don't have the bank owning the house with me. Right. So that's an intensely personal question. You just have to plan it out.
Yeah. There's a lot more to this topic that maybe gets outside of the scope of this episode, like having a mortgage. Do you carry life insurance into retirement? That's an important thing to consider. Long-term care insurance, because your mortgage is for your home. It's for where you live. So if something happens, another risk that can come along and do something negative to your financial situation, going to blow up your retirement plan, are you mitigating those risks to make sure that you always have a place to live? So that's it's a little outside of the scope of this episode, but another thing to think about.
Yeah, if you have questions that you'd like us to answer anonymously, of course, in an episode on this show, leave that in the comments section and we'll try to get to it. We love to answer questions that are actually, if you have the questions, chances are a lot of other people do too. So ask away. We'll be happy to get to it.
Yeah. There's nothing new that we haven't seen. And we love, the reason we're doing this is to share this information and share what we do every day with all of you. So that's all for today's episode. So be sure to like and subscribe. Again, leave a comment, leave a question. We'd love to hear from you all. And we'll see you next time. You've been watching Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. If you like this show, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Last Paycheck is available anywhere you get your podcasts.